Hi again. Let's continue learning about money supply. After you understand about the creation of the money supply, now we turn our attention to controlling money supply. Let's now talk about how the monetary authority or the central bank could control money supply. The first way to do it is by doing the so-called open market operation. The central bank may buy government bonds or commercial bank securities or sell its securities in the market. Before we proceed, please remember this. With no currency, money supply is simply total amount of deposit in commercial bank's account. Money supply will increase whenever the central bank pour more money to the economy, enabling banks to disburse more loans. On the other hand, whenever money is absorbed by the central bank or commercial banks' loans becomes more limited, money supply will decrease. Okay, let's see how the open market operation could affect money supply. Suppose the central bank purchases government bonds or commercial bank securities worth $50. Before the purchase, the position is as shown in the first purple table here. Total money is equal to total deposits, which is $1,000 with 10% reserve requirement ratio. Reserves are $100 and loans are $900 accordingly. So what will happen after the purchase? Since there is no currency here, the central bank uses bank's reserve to buy it. It means the central bank will increase one commercial bank's reserve. Which bank? Of course, it is the bank who sells the security to the central bank. Or in government bond purchase case, it is the bank where the government puts its money in. With $50 more reserve or deposit, money creation process will take place. With 10% reserve requirement ratio, this additional $50 reserve or deposit would create additional 500 deposits in total or 500 more money supply. Money supply is now $1,500. Remember the money multiplier effect? The additional $500 deposit is exactly 10 times the additional reserves in the banking system. 10 is the money multiplier, which is 1 per reserve requirement ratio or 1 per 10%. How much additional loans are created? From the balance sheet, it is $500 of additional deposit minus the $50 additional reserve. So the additional loans are $450 and the total loans are now $1,350. So the flow of the open market operations to money supply is like this. Here is the second option. The central bank may lend money to commercial banks. It sets a discount rate in the money market. Commercial banks are more likely to borrow more if the discount rate is lower and borrow less if the discount rate is higher. Okay, let's see how changing the discount rate may affect money supply. Suppose the central bank reduces the discount rate, hence loan to commercial bank increases. Before the increased loan to commercial banks, just like before, the position is as shown in the first purple table. Total money is equals to total deposit, which is $1,000 with 10% reserve requirement ratio. Reserves are $100 and loans are $900 accordingly. So what will happen after the bank lending increases, says by $20? Since again, there's no currency involved here, the central bank uses bank's reserve to lend the money. It means the central bank will increase commercial bank's reserve by $20. With $20 more reserve, money creation process will again take place. With 10% reserve requirement ratio, this additional $20 reserve would create additional $200 deposit in total or 200 more money supply. Money supply is now $1,200. This additional $200 is exactly 10 times the additional reserve or the money multiplier. How much additional loans are created? From the balance sheet, we can get $200 of the additional deposits minus the $20 additional reserve, but now also added with the $20 of the total amount owed to the central bank. So the total additional loans are $200. And the flow now is like this. It's the third way to control money supply. Increasing reserve requirement ratio means restrict commercial banks to make loans. With the same amount of reserves, commercial banks now could offer less loans, thus lowering the money supply. Look again the illustration. Same initial condition. Total money supply is $1,000. After the increased reserve ratio, says from 10 to 20%, $100 worth of reserve now can only create $500 deposit, not $1,000 deposit. Deposit is created 5 times of the total reserve, not 10 times anymore. The money multiplier or 1 per reserve requirement ratio declines from 10 to 5 or from 1 per 10% to 1 per 20%. So in total, money supply decreased by $500 following the decrease in loans by $500 too. Total money supply is now just $500, declines from $1,000, and loans are $400, declines from $900. So in short, here is the process. The last way to control money supply is by increasing or decreasing interest paid to commercial banks for their reserves in the central bank. In the past, reserve usually offered no interest, but now many central banks, including the Fed, offer interest for commercial banks' reserve. Impact of increasing interest for reserve is just similar to the impact from increasing reserve requirement ratio in our last case. It reduces both deposit and loans, but leaves total reserves unchanged. Unlike the loan-to-bank case, here banks are not getting more reserve from the central bank. Banks just reduce their loans for holding more reserve. With increased interest on reserve, banks may find it more attractive to add their reserve holding rather than to provide loans. So instead of providing $900 loans, for instance, bank may only provide $400 or $500 less. The resulting deposit and money supply are then only $500 or $500 less. The impact, as I said, is just like in the previous case. Increasing the interest on reserve is just like increasing reserve requirement ratio from 10 to 20%. Our last discussion about monetary system is about problems in controlling money supply. I would just give the short explanation on this. The first problem is due to the unpredictability of depositors' behavior. Look at the first table here. It's a depositor's balance sheet. It's like my and your balance sheet. We may have debt in our liabilities or something earned from our work or business, that is the net worth. Our money in our bank account is of course one of our assets. Our deposits will be put on the asset side, not on the liability side. In our previous discussion about money creation and money control, we assumed that there is no currency. In fact, all of us hold cash amid more intense use of money. Individuals are assumed to have no financial investment option other than putting their money in the banks. In fact, people may buy stocks and bonds or fixed assets like properties. Both conditions, to some extent, might reduce the control of monetary authority. Cash holding and securities holding may induce the banking system reserves. When people tend to hold more currency, for instance, because they lose confidence to banking system, money supply falls even without any actions from the central bank. Similar to the individuals, banks' behavior could be unpredictable too. Making loans are actually not the only option for the bank to generate income. Just like in our previous case, banks may be attracted to hold more reserve, thus lowering the loans. They could also prefer buying more securities in financial markets to making loans. Or they could just restrict themselves in making loans due to bad economic and financial condition. Okay, that's all from me. Hopefully all is clear, the money creation process as well as the monetary control. Thank you for your attention. So see you in next other videos.